starting to sew on your machine and then your machine just isn't feeding the fabric and it isn't going anywhere. It's unbelievably frustrating, especially when you're fairly new to sewing or you've got a machine that you're not used to and you have no idea what's going on. So let's get this sorted in this video. There are 5 main reasons why your machine isn't feeding your fabric, and we're going to go through one by one. But first, who am I? I'm Kim. This is Quilt with Kim. You, my lovely, are very welcome. Come on, let's get on with number 1, which I think is probably one of the most common reasons. Reason number 1 is to do with your feed dogs. What are they? Let me show you. So underneath your presser foot here, I'm going to take this off so that you can have a look. These bits here, these teeth, are called your feed dogs, and their sole purpose in life is to feed your fabric underneath the presser foot. So the presser foot presses the fabric down onto those feed dogs. When you lower your presser foot, it goes down onto those feed dogs, and then these feed dogs go along and make your stitches. And just as an aside, when you set your stitch length, that has nothing to do with where the needle is going. Your needle only goes up and down on the spot. What your stitch length does is control how far along these feed dogs move to make your stitches. However, if somehow they are down, then no stitching is going to take place because your needle would just go up and down on the spot and there will be nothing here to feed your fabric underneath the presser foot. So really your presser foot and your feed dogs work in tangent. Your presser foot doesn't do anything other than press the fabric down onto the feed dogs, and then the feed dogs do the moving. So how do we remedy this then? Well, I'm going to pause for a second and turn my machine around so that you can see where to put it right. On the back of your machine, and you may not have discovered this yet, you will find a switch which looks a bit like this. And it's that switch which controls where your feed dogs are going, whether they're up or down. Now, if we look here, can you see that you've got a couple of little mountain signs with a line along the top of the peaks of the mountains? And then just here as well, you've got 2 mountain signs, for want of a better expression, but the line goes through the middle of the mountains. So in order to make the stitches, this switch needs to be set over to here, which says your feed dogs are up. So the line is halfway down the mountain. That means your feed dogs are poking out at the top, which is where you need them. I'll show you this in a minute. If the switch is over here to where these mountains are underneath this line, the line is on the top, then that means your feed dogs are down. Why would we do that? Well, if you are free motion quilting, or if you've been doing embroidery, say you've inherited a machine and say the person before you had been doing embroidery and had left that switch with the feed dogs down, you may not know about it, but you've got the machine and now it's really frustrating. Or alternatively, you may have inadvertently changed that switch, not really knowing what it was doing. But that's what it does. It pops your feed dogs down, so it enables you to move the fabric around wherever you want, which is fantastic when you're doing any free motion. But if you're just starting out or you're trying to build your confidence again, then free motion may be the furthest from your mind and you just want the machine to sew. Just to show you what this looks like in reality, if I move my camera, so I apologise for wibbly wobbliness for a second. If you look here, can you see these feed dogs are below the needle plate here, which is going to be a bit difficult to zoom in, but there's no feed dogs on top. They are sunk down, and that relates to these mountain shapes or the teeth shapes below the line at the top. So that's what it relates to, is those feed dogs. Sorry, the camera is just not focusing. The feed dogs are sunk below the needle plate. So that line on top of the mountains, that refers to the needle plate, and the mountains refer to the teeth of the feed dogs. So in order to get this right then, we need to change the mountains from being below that line, or the feed dogs from being below the needle plate, to have them poking up through the needle plate. So we need to move this switch from this side to this side. Now, a word of warning is that it's quite stiff to do this, so I wouldn't recommend doing it with your fingernail because you'll end up with a broken fingernail. First world problems, I know. So what I do is I get a pair of scissors and just push that along. So that'll get the feed dogs in the right position, but I don't want you to panic because look, I've moved this along. If I move my camera back up again, you can see that those feed dogs are still underneath the needle plate. She's given us stuff information. I promise I'm not. So those feed dogs will stay down there until you begin to sew. So I'm going to switch this machine around back into the right position and I'll demonstrate what happens when I start to sew. We're back around the front again, and if you're thinking that looks like a different machine, yes it is, because the other machine that I was demoing on, I turned it around and then it decided it was going to throw a wobbly on me. So it's in the hall having a think about its behaviour and its actions. I brought out the big guns, so hopefully this one won't throw any wobblies. Anyway, you can see that the feed dogs are down, which is where they were. So they were underneath the needle plate. We've pushed that switch over to show that they're bringing up. So that mountain sign has the line through the middle of it, but our feed dogs are still down. But what happens when we begin to sew, I'm going to put the presser foot back on. I just wanted to show you where the feed dogs were so that you don't worry about it. And then when we start to sew on this scrappy bit of fabric I've got here, let's drop the needle and just get some stitches going, and you'll see that it starts feeding the fabric through just as it would normally, because what happens is as we start to sew, those feed dogs come back up again. So now I can feel the feed dogs. So if they were down and you've moved the switch over so that they come back up again, don't worry if they don't immediately come back up. Just start to sew, they will come back on the first stitch and you are good to go. So that's number one, where our feed dogs might have been lowered. Still on the subject of feed dogs though, if you have got a very old machine, then feed dogs can actually go blunt. So if they've gone blunt or they're worn down, or if they're old, then they're not going to feed the fabric quite as well, and sometimes not at all. In which case you can replace them, but you'll need to take your machine to go and see a sewing machine engineer who can sort it out for you. So that's just something to be aware of if you have got an old machine. So that's the first reason. Let's have a look at the second reason, which you may not have thought about. Second up is your presser foot pressure. What on earth does that mean? Remember I said that your presser foot has to work in tandem or in partnership with those feed dogs. So if we pretend that the feed dogs are underneath here on my cutting mat, we have the fabric and then we have the presser foot that is holding that fabric down onto the feed dogs. And if it's not holding it down tight enough, that means that fabric is going to slip and slide all over the place and it won't be pulled through by your feed dogs. The feed dogs won't be able to feed it through because your presser foot is not pressing it down hard enough onto the fabric. So it's an important thing that we need to make sure is correct. Now most of the time it is, but sometimes you may have inadvertently knocked a dial or a button or something. So let's look at how we put that right. Now this next part really depends whether you have a computerized machine or a mechanical machine. I'll show you what to look for on a mechanical machine in just a second. But we need to find where to adjust the foot pressure. Now generally on computerized machines you have some kind of settings button. Mine looks like this. Yours might look different. It's that menu sign here. So you really need to get your sewing machine manual that came with your machine to find out where it is for you. So what I would do is keep pressing that button until I get to the menu that says presser foot pressure. And we really need to make sure that it's on the right number. The default here, you can see that this 3 is highlighted. So for my machine, that is the optimum foot pressure for handling most fabrics. If you've got very light fabrics, you need to increase your foot pressure because you really need your presser foot pressed down on those light fabrics. So if you've got really light fabrics like cotton lawn or silk, for instance, you really need a good high foot pressure as your presser foot is coming down onto those fabrics to hold it into place whilst your feed dogs are feeding through the fabric. And then simply what we would do is press the up and down buttons to increase those sizes. So if I had cotton lawn, for example, I would probably want to increase my foot pressure to something higher. So on this machine, it's 4. But for the most part, we want to keep it on 3 because that's where our machine tells us it wants to be as its default position. So with our presser foot height, we want to know how far up our presser foot is in case we're going over really bulky fabrics or bulky seams or something like that. So again, the default for this machine is 7.5. Yours might be different. So it really pays you to get your manual. If you haven't got a physical manual, say you've bought a machine secondhand and it hasn't come with a manual, they are pretty much all available online these days. So go and find your manual and find out what the default positions are for your machine and where the settings button is so that you can go and find the presser foot pressure so that you can adjust it. If you have a mechanical machine and you're thinking, well, I haven't got any of those fancy buttony things, then you'll probably find there's a dial somewhere. So again, have a look for your manual, because generally there is some kind of dial, normally around the housing of where your presser foot is, where your needle is, that end of the machine, and you'll find some kind of twiddly knob or a dial that you can lower and increase your foot pressure, if I can get those words out in the right order. Again, your manual will tell you exactly where those are. So if you have got an old machine and the manual is long since disappeared, have a look online, because you will find pretty much most manuals online. Reason number 3 has got to do with your needles. Now, needles play such an important part into how your machine sews, and sewing machines are sensitive little souls, and they do like a nice, fresh, sparkly new needle in there to operate properly. And it may surprise you to know that if you have dull or bent needles and it doesn't take much, then your machine won't sew. So check your needle, and if you're in any doubt, it is quick and easy to replace your needle. I just want to show you what bent might look like. So this one here is straight. So can you see here with this particular needle, if I hold it against the edge of this ruler, everything is straight and it's running very nicely against the edge of the ruler there, and it doesn't really matter which way round I turn it, it is nice and straight against the edge there. If I can hold it in position, which is quite difficult to do, but you can see that that is pretty straight. Compare that to this one. Now, I have to be honest, I didn't have any bent needles hanging around, so I had to bend this one slightly myself, but the same thing, you can see already it's got a bit of a curve in that needle, and this is what happens if you use a needle that's too small for what you are sewing. You will end up bending or breaking the needle. I've got a whole video on how to choose the right needle sizes, which I'll link up to at the end of this video and in the description below, so you can go and check that out. But you can see here how this one is a bit bent and your machine is not going to like that. So you might have a bend in the shaft of the needle there, or it could just bend in the tip at the top. Either way, your machine is going to throw up a major fuss, refuse to work, refuse to do anything, refuse to pull your fabric through. So this is another thing to look out for. Have you had your needle in for a while? Has it perhaps gone blunt, which is not easy to see with a naked eye? You could see it under a microscope, but we tend not to have those in our sewing room. But if your needle is blunt or bent or anything like that, your machine is going to kick up a fuss. So if in doubt, put a brand new needle in and test it then. The next reason is lint or fluff build-up. And lint and fluff causes all manner of issues. What do I mean by lint or fluff? It's that underneath the needle plate here, you will get fluff build-up. And that happens because on the whole, we are sewing with woven fabrics. And when we sew with woven fabrics, we get lint and fluff building up. When we're quilting, we've got the wadding or batting in the middle. That's really fluffy, so lots of fluff will build up. So if your machine is just refusing to work, or it's jamming, or otherwise is making clunky noise and is not very happy at all, and is refusing to feed your fabric, then you're going to have to get underneath the needle plate to give it a good clean. I'm not going to cover how to do that in this video because it's quite a long exercise, but I'll link up the video to show you how to do that in the description below, so you can go and check that out. It's a really satisfying thing to do. And then reason number 5 is coming up, and it's actually probably the most common reason because it's really easy to do. And that is, we have knocked the stitch length button and it's gone all the way down to 0 or near enough. This machine won't go down to absolute 0, but it's on 0.2, which is a really tiny stitch. And if it's down there, it is not really going to pull the fabric along the feed dogs. So we want to increase our stitch length back up to where it needs to be. So on the whole, it's going to be between 2 or 2.5 millimeters, depending on what you are sewing. It could be higher if you've got thicker fabrics, or it could be slightly lower, but either way we need a stitch length. You remember, we've got those feed dogs and they go along the amount of length that we've told it to with our stitch length here. So if our stitch length is 0, either you've got a computerized machine that's 0, or you've got a dial with your stitch length that you've put down to 0, then those feed dogs aren't going to move your fabric along. If you've got a mechanical machine and you've got a dial for your stitch length, then you need to look for this symbol here, which is that dashed line, and it generally is a small to a larger dash, but a dashed line tells you that it's your stitch length. That needs to be, as I said, generally about 2 to 2.5, depending on what you are sewing. If we're doing patchwork, then it needs to be 2. For pretty much everything else, it needs to be 2.5. If you're sewing thick fabrics, then it needs to be higher than that. And if you don't really know what I'm talking about there, then you might want to watch this video that's just about to pop on your screen now. Again, I'll pop it in the description below because that is definitely worth knowing about. So those are the top 5 reasons why your machine might not be feeding the fabric through. There are other reasons, but what I wanted to do in this video is give you the top reasons, the most common reasons that's stopping your machine from feeding that fabric through. So hopefully one of those 5 will sort out your problem. If it is still a problem after that, then you might need to refer to your manual, or indeed take it along to a sewing machine engineer, that's a specialist engineer, to get the problem sorted. But I hope with this video we have got you sorted. If this has helped, please don't forget to like, subscribe and hit that notification bell. I would love you, and I will leave you for now, and I will look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.